So how can you put yourself out there if your confidence, your identity is not where it should be? You can't. You will attract things that you don't want, or you will struggle in your business because of that. So I literally am the layer peeler almost, and I get to help them to understand that and to see that and change their perspective. And because of that, we've literally had people move up in ranks. They've moved up the career path because we just peeled back the layers and exposed them and cleared them. And it's just as simple as that.
Welcome back to the Balance Boldly podcast for ambitious women in business and a few brave men. We are in season 25. Season 25 of the BBP. Can you believe it? Probably not if you haven't been following us since 2016. I'm your host, Naketa Ren Thigpen, the #1 balance and relationship advisor in the world, here to make sure that you have every tool you need for work life and love. So let's dive in with a very, very special gem. I didn't mean for that to rhyme, but we're going to work with that as if it was intentional. Miss Jen O'Donnell. She is fabulous, energetic, wonderful, and I dare say magnificent in all of her ways. Business and mindset coach for team leaders in network marketing and women entrepreneurs that are scaling their businesses right, trying to avoid all the mistakes and all the noise that's happening in network marketing, which I know has its own caveats because there's a lot of companies that don't think network marketers actually make money, and Jen is proof, living, walking, breathing, vacationing every month, proof that you can in fact do that. Jen, welcome to the BBP. How are you today?
I'm good, Naketa. Thank you so much for having me here. I literally love your energy. It's so exciting. I'm going to feed right off of this.
This will be fantastic. Why don't you take a minute and just tell everyone a little bit about your background, what got you into network marketing, why you chose it in the first place, and include a little bit about the pivot that I'm trying not to give too much attention to. I don't want to give it away, but you had a major career pivot into network marketing, and I would love for you to start there.
I did. I have been an entrepreneur for the last coming up on 10 years. And prior to, I was a registered nurse. I worked at a hospital, and I literally thought I was going to do that till I had to retire, just like everybody else, right? And I network marketing didn't fall into my lap, but it came into my life when I was getting married, and I got to hear some information about it. And I was in a season of my life, how seasons are, like you're in a season that you're needing something different. And I was realizing like my potential was not coming out in nursing. Like I was just doing the job, right? I liked what I did at times, but the majority of the time I felt like I just needed something else. And so when I got to hear about network marketing and you hear about the opportunity, right? Like the trips and the flexibility and you can earn big achievements and things like that. And I was like, well, okay, so I know I'm doing this nursing. It's a great career, but I could try this out and see where it took me. And I didn't realize this then, but now I realize it, that I love being around leaders. Like I love being around strong women, strong, powerful women. It's very attractive to me. So
yes.
I realized like that is in me, and that's why I like that. And so I decided, eventually I decided I wanted to leave nursing. I was, making an income. I was having consistency in my business. I had moved up into leadership myself in the industry. I have earned cars in the industry, and I wanted to leave because nursing was no longer fulfilling. It was actually taking up more time for me, for my family. And so I left. And then just recently, I just had a whole transition again, which is so funny. So I'm in a totally new season. But I just transitioned because I saw a huge gap in the industry, and I wanted to be able to impact it, just influence that gap, be able to help more women be more successful, because there is a stigma where people think you don't make money or you're hustling all the time, like you're neglecting things. And so there's just some shifts that you can make, shifts that I personally made when I was really active in the business and a leader in the business that I didn't realize until I started studying mindset. And
Yeah.
I got it more into leadership. And so I wanted to be able to give that to the community because there's so many incredible people that I've met along my journey that why can't they be super successful? Like, why can't they have it all? And why can't there be more retention in the industry? And why can't you think more like an entrepreneur? Like, I have a networking background just from being with other entrepreneurs. So, I've just pushed myself into the entrepreneur space. But why can't you have great success in network marketing just like any other business that you build?
Absolutely. It's that entrepreneurial spirit is really important, but so is tenacity and passion and vision and open-mindedness. Your walking, talking, living execution of being a forever learner, because even though you transition from one major, nursing is a major career path. It's not at the beginning. Most people, get into that and stay, retire, die out in nursing, right? And maybe even go deeper into kind of specialists, specific specialists of nursing. But you said, I'm a forever learner in a broader way. I don't have to just go deep in one area, especially when it wasn't really adding balance to your life. I love how you said, I was, doing something that I was great at. I really did value what I was able to give in the world of healthcare. And I'm sure you still vie for healthcare is absolutely an industry that I stand behind. And I'm more than that. I have an entrepreneurial spirit. So how can I put this in? And as you were playing with those passions and figuring out kind of the next steps and seeing some really awesome, contributions from it, some cars, like you said, moving up the leadership team, you were still seeing that there was another opportunity and also paying attention to how much influx was happening in your personal life because of trying to navigate both of those worlds before you went full in.
Right.
So I'm really curious for now, because I know you have tiers of who you work with because you've had so much vast experience that you can really offer to it, especially in the business and the mindset coaching part of it, which is absolutely perfect for this season as we kick it off with a bold mindset. When you're dealing with a lot of the leaders who have teams under them, they're trying to run their sections or segments of the business with integrity, and to do it different than a lot of the noise that's out there, right? Because we've all heard like, oh, I don't work with network marketers. I don't do, right? Like, because there's a perception about what that is. And I know there's a lot of team leaders that you're working with, especially the women in business, that have so many prejudices and discriminations that they have to navigate just off the strength of gender, right? And then you add network marketing to it. I'm sure there's some mindset challenges that they're having about going to the next level and scaling these teams. What are some of the things that you're coming in to contact with them when they're sharing like what their concerns or their gap issues are?
It's interesting because network marketing, you usually come into this just like I did from another career, so like you don't have business experience. You didn't go to school to learn this. So you're literally coming in fresh like a baby. Like you are navigating the leadership, you're navigating working with a team and building that strong team culture, and you're navigating with people, and people are messy all at once, all the way up. And you're literally learning and failing and growing and winning along the way. And so I think that's the biggest hurdle that I get to help leaders with is that navigation, because your mind really does control whether you're successful. Your belief systems control whether you're successful or you're not. And when the leader is strong and the leader has good leadership skills, which most people don't, it's a learned thing. And when they have a strong mindset and a strong belief system, they are actually able to transfer that to their team. So like if they don't, though, they are not transferring that to their team, and then their team is struggling. And so they're working really, really hard, but they're completely unaware because they weren't taught that. So that's where I come in to give them the skills, understanding the strategy behind it of how they're showing up. And now because how they're showing up, their team's showing up exactly like that. Yeah. And they don't realize it.
Yeah.
at all.
No, that makes sense. I'm curious too, because, we're getting into people management, which is a whole nother talk about getting messy. That's a whole nother layer. You yourself, being at a certain place in your business, a certain space in your leadership paradigm of like where you're growing and who you're trying to become. Maybe you have more of a servant leadership style. Maybe you're more democratic or laissez-faire, depending on where you are kind of on that continuum. And then you have someone on your team who is negative Nickel or negative Nancy, right? And you are trying to not have them pollute the rest of the team. And at the same time, you may see potential in them. Because I think the real conflict happens not so much when someone is negative, when you're like, oh, they're so skilled, but they're negative. They're so skilled, they're so qualified, but they're so abrasive. Because you can see all the potential, but all of that attitude is getting in the way. How are you helping because I know you're really working with the leaders of those teams. How are you really helping them navigate not stepping out of character and, really managing that personality on their team?
Oh, yeah. Well, so I usually teach them the different personality styles, how to work with the different personality styles, how to work with what people value, because what you value is how you show up.
Yeah.
And also, like, I teach them literally how the mind works. We can't see the mind. It's not like the brain. It's not like your heart. You don't know what it looks like. So you don't know how it operates. So when I literally teach them, okay, you have a negative person in your organization. This is how they're showing up. This is probably why. And I literally take them, it's called the stick man. And I learned this and I take them through the stick man and I literally show them what could be possibly happening. And it's an aha moment all the time. They're like, I had no idea. So then I just transferred skills that they can go back and teach their team and talk to this person and say, hey, this is how you're showing up. This is what I'm seeing. What's going on here? Because I know if you're emotionally tied to something, then you're going to start to act in a certain way that's going to just pollute our environment.
Yeah.
Create some toxicity. And so that person is 100% not aware that they're showing up like that. And most people don't realize whatever you speak out, whatever you think, literally like designs your reality. And I don't think people give it enough credit. And so I think most people are working against themselves instead of for themselves. And when they learn that, then their whole environment, their conditions, their circumstances, and their environment just shifts tremendously.
Oh, I could not agree more. And so at the time of this recording that we are doing this, guys, because, full transparency in our podcast, it is June 10th, and there was a solar eclipse this morning, an annular eclipse specifically, where the Earth basically goes into the Earth's shadow goes into the center of the sun and creates this visual kind of ring of fire that happens all over the globe. And it's a signaling energetically and spiritually for new beginnings and endings. And part of that embracing of that is you really looking at what you can shift for yourself. For everyone that's listening to this show, thinking about, are you having some polluted mindset challenges, whether you're on a team or you're running a team? What's coming up for you, and what can you begin differently and end so you're not a representation of the sick man that Jen is talking about, which I love. And I extra love how you're really bringing in your healthcare background for how you're training people, right? Which is beautiful in and of itself, because it speaks to a lot of people's fears around pivoting and making those transitions. You and I both can speak to multiple transitions over the course of our career. And part of the challenge with that for me and you and many other people is you're often thinking like, did I just waste my time? In that 8, 10, 12 years of, school and learning and certifications and tests and boards and working in that career, only to shift from it, when the reality is, like Jen is actively doing, you can take what is meaty. That's the best way I can say that. So no offense to the vegans and vegetarians that are listening to the show, but you can take what's meaty and apply it in a new way. Like Jen's using this very visual description of unseen illnesses that happen when people are sick, as it doesn't necessarily show on their body, to look at personality styles and communication, and really helping with that. So I just wanted to thank you and honor you for that, because that's not a small thing.
You're welcome. Yeah, I think life is literally a whole lesson. So it's just like you said, like things that I learned in nursing, things that I learned in just networking with other entrepreneurs, things that I learned in network marketing, now things I'm learning as a coach. It's all connected. You can literally bring all of that in. So nothing's a waste unless you feel like it's a waste. Is that thinking thing, but when you believe that everything you learned is connected in some way, that it literally, because it's a journey. Our life is a journey. Your business is a journey. And so when you look at it from that standpoint of, okay, this is just a part of my journey. I probably would not be here had I not had all those experiences, because they grew me in the process.
1,000%. Yeah. Looking at failure as feedback, right? This was just a part of the journey. It does not feel good. You have to honor the grieving process that comes with some of those failures and that chaos and confusion that comes up when you're like apprehensive about making a big change or starting something for your quote unquote new beginning, because that does mean that you had to make room. And clearing out some of that stuff is not just physical closet clearing, decluttering, it's emotional. And it really does come back down to your mindset, which I know that you can speak to tremendously, because you're doing it day after day after day, not only with your clients, but yourself. So I'm curious, like, how is your family handling all these magnificent pivots and transitions and monthly vacations and all that's happening?
Well, it's interesting. My husband, he likes what I'm doing. Like, he is always supportive, but it's so funny. But he's a skeptic. He's hard to like even bring into the mindset. But it's so funny. My kids are getting impacted because they're always around me and they listen to me without me realizing they're listening to me. So like my daughter will say something and I'm shifting her mindset. And she probably doesn't realize it. And I didn't realize it at first until she starts saying things. And I'm like, how do you know that? You're 7. It's cool how, everybody around you, when you get better, everybody around you gets better.
So true. So true. I will say, out of the mouths of babes, my youngest is way older than 7. She's 20. She'll be 21 soon. And she's just started working with our company. So I have, there's some humility in getting coffee for someone, right? Because she lives with me, so why not? So when we have our early morning meetings, I'll have her like prepare coffee and, just get it. And it has nothing to do with her job. It's really just kind of giving her that extra humility that comes with that mental transition that you need, like you're going from daughter mode to worker mode, right? Like, and just doing that. And I never finish coffee because I'm a tea drinker, by the way. So there's also something to that. I won't let her make my tea, but I'll let her make my coffee. Whole long story behind that. But the other day we had a meeting and I literally will have a cup of coffee for the entire day and not finish it. So we're in our meeting and she's like, you're really just not going to finish it? Like, you had me make the coffee, you're not going to finish it? I was like, I'll get to it. I'll finish it. She's like, you never finish your coffee. Isn't this just a waste of resources? Aren't you the balance and relationship advisor? Like, do we waste resources? There was so much in me that was so proud in that moment that she's listening, because you don't know what your kids are listening to. You also don't realize how much they're soaking in and interpreting. I also had to correct her, right? Like, this isn't a waste of resource. This is a learning lesson for you. So you go and digest that. To help her with her mindset in a very silly, kind of playful way. But listening to you talk about your 7-year-old, like the things that they say, they are paying attention.
Right.
Like, truly paying attention.
100%. And now that I've really learned a lot about the subconscious, it is unbelievable.
Come on.
Like, it just literally, everything we experience, everything we see, everything we hear, especially as a child, it's going to impact us for the rest of our life. And we're going to unpeel the layers. We're like onions and we're trying to unpeel the layers. And I didn't realize that. I literally look back at my life and I'm like, wow, I've been unpeeling layers for many, many years because of what I experienced as a child. Because it all goes in. We can't reject it. We just have to accept things that we're exposed to. you have no way to reject it as a child. So we're all
Exactly.
impacted in
Yeah.
one way or another. And I think that's what I work a lot with leaders in the team, like peeling back those layers, because a lot of people come in and they have pains, they have hurts.
Yeah.
And so they have to peel that back, because you're literally putting yourself out there. So how can you put yourself out there if your confidence, your identity is not where it should be? You can't. You will attract things that you don't want, or you will struggle in your business because of that. So I literally am the layer peeler almost, and I get to help them to understand that and to see that and change their perspective. And because of that, we've literally had people move up in ranks. They've moved up the career path because we just peeled back the layers and exposed them and cleared them. And it's just as simple as that. But most people don't understand that. And that's all you got to do. You peel back the layers, you get some systems in place, and things start to pivot tremendously.
Definitely. That's that clearing of the space, but it's simple. It's just not easy, which is why having guides, facilitators, and coaches that know that really, really know what this work is, that have experienced it, that have gone through it themselves is so crucial. I stand in, you should not be with a coach who's afraid to be coached. You should not see a therapist who won't go to therapy, right? Like, it's really important that the people that are training, teaching, guiding, facilitating a process for you, they don't necessarily have had you have every single experience that you've had. Like, no one would wish most of that on most people, but you want to know that they have experience with the work, that they're not just talking at you and telling you a bunch of things to do and not compassionate about the process. Because the process it's really simple, but it can be really challenging because there's nothing easy about it.
Right. Yeah,
Truly.
100%.
Yeah, I love the work that you're doing. So I have to ask you, when you're not out here helping all these teams scale and these leaders really break barriers for themselves, how are you giving yourself permission to pause?
Oh, well, I like, especially right now, it's, spring about to go into summer, and I love to be anywhere that has water, anywhere that the sun is located. I literally thrive in this kind of season. If I could move, I would move in a heartbeat because of that. But I do. So like I take certain days off. I have certain pauses throughout my day just to refresh, whether I'm just sitting down reading a book, grabbing a cup of coffee, like some water, whatever it is. And I have specific pauses because I have to refuel myself, because I'm dealing with people and they're bringing me their stuff, and I have to show them where their blinders are to help clear that. So if I don't fuel myself and take the pauses and I keep in that hustle mode, I'll burn out eventually. And I won't be able to give as much as I can in the moment. So I have to show up good so that my leaders and the team shows up good. So pauses are tremendously important.
Yeah, being a reflection of the change that you're trying to create is so crucial. Jen, this is why I adore you on so many levels. Tell everyone where they can connect with you and get more Jen O'Donnell.
Yeah. So the greatest way, I have a Facebook group. It's called Elevate Leadership. And that's my company name. And that is where I show up the best. So that's a really great place to connect with me. We have an incredible booming community. And we'll do videos in there. We'll make connections, conversations, Zoom meetings, all that stuff. So that is probably the best place to find me and where we can connect. So.
Oh, I love that. Thank you, Jen, so much for your time today. And you are a friend of the company, friend of the CEO of the company, and a friend of the show. So we look forward to having you back very, very soon.
Thank you, Naketa. This was amazing. I always love doing this with you.
You're so awesome. Balance Boldly listeners. Well, you heard her. She said it simple and plain. You ready to elevate your leadership? Go to Elevate Leadership, where you can find everything you need about her company. Go into the Facebook group and really get to know her team, her style, and some really good team leadership growth bites that you need until you're comfortable, hopefully sooner than later, to push the button and make the change. Let this be your new beginning. You don't have to wait for another annular solar eclipse. You do not have to wait for some big, magnificent emergency to happen and force you to make a hard decision, and you don't necessarily have to wait until your life is in crumbles and balance is no longer working for you. So go ahead and take the leap and elevate your leadership. I'm Naketa Ren Thigpen, and I'm excited as always to be here with you, giving you these tools. Make sure that you continue to create your balance and create your joy, but remember, do it boldly.